Jody Creatives, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be making this beautiful and gorgeous reversible bucket hat. You can make it with any fabric of choice, ankara, jeans fabric, any fabric of choice at all can make this bucket hat. It's reversible, it's a beginner friendly, and if this is something you know you are interested in, you have to watch this video to the end. Let's get right into the class. Welcome back. So this is the material we are going to use. We are going to be using ankara fabric, two types of ankara fabric, and you need your paper to draft out your patterns that you are going to use to cut your fabric. So the first pattern we are going to cut is going to be the crown. But before we cut the crown, you are going to go ahead and measure your head circumference like so. You measure it round the way you are seeing on the screen. You go ahead and measure your head circumference. Whatever you get, you're going to be using. So we are going to be using 23 inches for this bucket hat. And my head circumference is 23 inches, so I'm going to be using 23 inches. So you're going to take your 23 inches, you are going to set it aside, and then you go ahead and take your pattern paper, you fold it into two just the way you're seeing on the screen. So it's going to be 23 divided by 6.28. 23 divided by 6.28 is going to give us 3.6 inches. 3.6 inches. So you're going to take your calculator, you will calculate your head circumference divided by 6.28 is perfect for all size, all head size. It's standard for all head size. So you go ahead and divide it, and my answer here is 3.68. So you pick that your 3.6, set it aside. Right, then you go ahead and fold your pattern paper into 4, just the way you are seeing on the screen. You fold it into 4, then you go ahead and take that 3.6 inches we got as our radius. We are going to call it radius for the crown. So you go ahead and take the radius round just the way you are seeing on the screen. You just take it round from one end of the paper to the other end of the paper. You go around just the way you are seeing it. Then when you're done picking the dot, you go ahead and connect the dot just the way you're seeing on the screen. When you're done connecting your dot, you go ahead and add your sewing inches. That's your sewing allowance. You had your sewing allowance, right? So we are just going to go ahead and add our sewing allowance of 0.5 inches, which is also half inches. 0.5, which is also half inches. So you go ahead and add it round for our sewing allowance. So when you're done adding, you go ahead and cut. Just cut it out just the way you're seeing on the screen. So this is our crown. So our crown is ready. So you go ahead and label it the crown, right? Then the next one we are going to cut now is the body of the cap, which is simply your head circumference divided by 2. It's as simple as that. So 23 divided by 2, we have 11.5. So you go ahead and fold and mark your 11.5 just the way you're seeing on the screen. This part you can cut it directly on fabric if you don't want to use your paper, but because of the purpose of this tutorial, that is why I'm using pattern to cut it. You can cut this just directly on the fabric. So you go ahead and mark. Then the height of the body, I use 3.5 inches. You can use 3 inches, you can use 2.5. Depends on how high you want the cap to be. So the height I use here is 3.5 inches. So I went ahead to mark the 3.5 inches all round. Then you will go ahead and label it as the body of the cap. Then you had your half inches allowance all the way round it. You had your half inches allowance round. So basically this is what I'm doing. I'm adding my half inches allowance. So you also add it to this side also. Go ahead and add your allowance. So you had your allowance just the way you're seeing on the screen, and you go ahead and mark it. Then this part that you see that I'm marking is going to cut it on fold. That part that I mark as like a box, you cut it on fold. Okay, right? So you go ahead and cut out your pattern. Go ahead and cut it out. Then that's the body. Go ahead and set it aside. Then we are going to cut the brim now, the brim of the cap. The cap is in 3 parts, so we are going to cut the brim of the cap. So you just go ahead and take a fresh pattern paper, and you are going to divide your head circumference by 3.14. 3.14. You divide your head circumference by 3.14, and when I divide that's 23 divided by 3.14, I got 7.3. My answer is 7.3. So I'll go ahead and take my 7.3, round the paper just the way you are seeing. I did not fold this paper. It's not folded. It's just one piece. It's not folded into any place. It's just one. So take note of that. It's not folded. So you just go ahead and mark that's your answer. Mine is 7.3. So I'll go ahead and mark my 7.3. I'll just mark it round just the way you're seeing on the screen. All right? Yeah. So just go ahead and mark it like so. So when you're done marking, you go ahead and connect the dots. Connect it into a semicircle, just the way you're seeing on the screen. Then after that, you go ahead and determine the height of your brim. So I'm also going to be using 3.5 again for the height of the brim. You can use 3 inches, you can use 2.5, but you cannot go less than 2 inches. It will be too small, right? You cannot go less than 2.5, rather. It will be too small. So I'm using 3.5 here. So I just went ahead to mark my 3.5 round, and that is just what I'm doing. 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. I hope you are following. I hope you understand. If you do not understand, just go back to the video, just play it backward and rewatch it. You will understand it. So when I was done marking that, I go ahead and add my 1/2 inches allowance. This 1/2 inches allowance is to sew it. It's just to sew it. You can go ahead and add your 3.5 inches and you not add your 1/2 inches allowance. It's fine also. It's just as if you are using just 3 inches. So it's also okay. So but I went ahead to add my 0.5 inches sewing allowance, and then you cut just the way you're seeing on the screen. You go ahead and cut. Then that part, I marked it again, is going to be cut. You cut it on fold. You will cut it on fold. If you are cutting it on the fabric, you will cut it on fold. You are going to see it when we are cutting our fabric. So this is our last pattern. You go ahead and label it as the brim of the cap. So all our patterns are ready, and we need to cut now. You can see this is the 3 pattern. They are set to go. Yeah, so let's go ahead and cut our fabric. So you go ahead and take your fabric. You start from the first one, which is the crown. So we are going to cut our crown. So you go ahead and fold your fabric into 2. You also fold the pattern paper into 2, just the way you're seeing on the screen. You go ahead and fold it into 2, right? Just fold it into 2, just the way you're seeing. Now while you are folding, reduce your fabric. If you fold it too much, you can go ahead and reduce it, just the way I'm doing. I'm trying to reduce the fabric. So you go ahead and pin. Always pin your work. So you go ahead and cut. Remember, we added 1/2 inches to this pattern, so we are not adding any sewing allowance because we have added our sewing allowance inside the pattern. I hope you remember. Yeah. So we are going to go ahead and cut all our pattern just the way you are seeing on the screen, right? So you take the second part, that's the body of the cap. You can see that point. You can see is on fold. I folded the fabric. That part is on fold. Can you see it? Yeah. So you go ahead and pin again, and this time around, remember we added half inches allowance on one side, that's on this up side and the side. We did not add it to the down, so now we are going to add the half inches allowance at the down parts also. So I'll go ahead and add my half inches allowance because I didn't add it earlier. So that is just what I'm doing. I just added my half inches allowance. Then I went ahead to cut. Yeah, so you just go ahead and cut, and the side that we've already added allowance, no need to add again. So you just go ahead and cut. So that is for the body of the cap. Now we are going to cut the brim of the cap. So you're also going to fold your fabric into two, just the way you're seeing on the screen. You fold your fabric into two. Yeah, then you go ahead and place your brim. Then that part that we said is on fold, you can see it is also on fold. We place it on the folded part, not the open part, the folded part. Then you go ahead and pin down, just the way you're seeing on the screen. Now for this, remember we added half inches to the down, but we did not add to the side, and we did not add to the upper part. So that is what we are going to do now. We are going to add our half inches allowance to the side, just the way you're seeing on the screen, and we're also going to add it to the upper part, just the way you're also seeing on the screen. So always remember to add your half inches allowance, because if you do not add your allowance, your cap is going to reduce. It's going to look smaller, and sewing, you might have some parts longer than some parts if you did not add your allowance. So this allowance, when you sew, you get accurate measurements, exactly what you want. But if you did not add your allowance, you will not get exactly what you want. You get a smaller cap. So it's essential for you to add your sewing allowance. I hope I'm making sense. Okay, so that's it. I've gone ahead to cut, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut the other fabric, which is going to be for the lining and also the reversible. So I've gone ahead to do that. This is what it is. So we are done. So the next thing we are going to do now is to, can you see all these parts? They are on fold. Take note of that though. They are on fold. I did not cut it open. They are on fold. There's one part, one side that is open. So our patterns and our fabric is ready to sew. So we are going to go ahead and sew now. So before we sew, there's one important thing for you to take note of, which is the interfacing. You understand, the interfacing. But before that, you go ahead and notch your patterns. Go ahead and notch your patterns just the way you're seeing on the screen. You just fold your pattern into two. You notch the middle point. So I'm notching this round one, I'm notching the middle. These notches will guide you while sewing, to guide you while you are sewing. So it's important for you to notch your pattern, to notch the middle part of your pattern. So I've gone ahead to notch, and that's that. So these are the stay that you can use. This is called collar stay. It's called collar stay. It's very strong. If you want your cap to be strong, you will use it. This is called air stay. Also you can use, and this is paper stay. You can also use paper stay. So it's better for you to put stay so that it will hold very well. You understand? But I'm not using stay for my own. I'm just making it for the purpose of this training, so I don't need to waste my stay. So no need. So but if you are making yours, try and add interface to it, any interface of your choice from these three that I showed you. This, that the strong one on the soft one, anyone is fine. Right, then go ahead and match pick your crown and the body, match it. That's the middle, that part that we notch, middle to middle. Go ahead and you go ahead and pin it all the way round, all the way around. So you pin, when you match the middle, you pin to this side, you also pin to the other side. Right, yeah, that is just what I'm doing here. I'm pinning my crown to the body of the cap. So when you're done with that pinning, you just go ahead and take it to your sewing machine and stitch from one side to the other side, leaving 1 inches. You can see you leave that 1 inches. See that part that we notch, half inches to the right, half inches to the left, making 1 inches. You will leave that part open. You don't need to stitch to that part. You will leave it open. Okay, so take note of that. You leave your 1 inch. So you sew from that point all the way to the other side, which I have gone ahead to do. You can see I've stitched and see that part is open, that 1 inches is open there. Just leave it there. We'll close it up later when we are done with all our joining. We will close it up. So for you to have easy joining, that is why I'm doing this. So the next thing is to place it to the brim. So you get the midpoints of the brim and the midpoint of the body of the cap. You pin them again. Remember that midpoint, the part that we notched. Yeah, so that's the part you're going to pin. You're going to pin it and pin it all the way to the right, pin all the way to the left, right there. So when you're done pinning, you also pin it and stop. You pin it all the way to the end. Yeah, you pin it all the way to the end. You're not going to stop. You're not going to leave 1 inch just the way you did for the first one. No, this one you are going to pin it from the beginning to the end. From the beginning to the end, then you go ahead and stitch all the way round. Yeah, go ahead and stitch all the way round. So I've gone ahead to stitch, and this is what we have. So whatever you do for this, you repeat the same thing for your lining. You repeat the same thing for your, then you go ahead and notch the crown. You see the crown that you join to the body, you will go ahead and notch it all the way around so that it will relax. Now while notching, you have to be careful so that you don't go ahead and cut your seam, as in the stitch that you make, so that you don't cut it. So just go ahead and notch gently and easily. Just that crown, notch that crown. So when you're done with that, so the next thing is to join the both side together that is still open. You go ahead and join the brim together, then you join the body, you pin the body also together, then you go ahead and stitch all the way down by your half inches that you added. You stitch all the way down. So I've gone ahead to stitch all the way down. Can you see? Yeah, I've gone ahead to stitch. Now this is the part where we close this other end, that 1 inches that we left earlier. Now you can close it. You just go ahead and pin it down and just stitch it down. That's all. That's all. So simple. This cap is very, very simple and very, very easy to make. So when you're done, repeat the same thing for your lining. Exactly what you did here, you repeat the same thing for your lining. So I've gone ahead to also stitch my lining. Then you bring the both cap together. You bring them together just the way you're seeing on the screen. Bring them together. Put right facing right. Then make sure the both seam are in the same place, just the way you are seeing. I'm starting my pinning from that part. Then you go ahead and pin it all the way round. Go ahead and pin it all the way around. If you have watched this video to this point, then that means you are enjoying this tutorial. Please go ahead and subscribe if you have not subscribed, and if you have subscribed and you have not turned on your notification bell, go ahead and turn on your notification bell. Okay, turn it on, right, so that when we post video every week, you'll be the first to be notified that tutorial is up. Please do well to hit your subscribe button, subscribe, turn on your notification, okay, and try to drop a comment. So you just go ahead and stitch it all the way around. I'm going to be using hemming gum to stitch it all the way around because I did not use any stay, because I did not use any interface. That is why I'm using hemming gum. But if you use interface, you put any interface inside your fabric, you don't need to use hemming gum. So I'm just going to go ahead and use hemming gum, and I'll stitch it all the way around. I'm going to leave a space of 2 inches. 2 inches, just the way you're seeing on the screen. So I'll stitch from one end to the other end and leave space for 2 inches to bring it out. So as you can see, I've gone ahead to stitch it all the way round. and I'm removing my pin. And when you're done, go ahead and notch it round, round, so that your edges will relax. We need your edges to relax, so you go ahead and notch. So when you're done notching, you turn your cap to the right side. So that's the purpose of that 2 inches we left earlier. So you're going to use that 2 inches to turn your cap to the right side. Right, so when you're done turning, this is what we have. This cap is beautiful already. Can you see how beautiful it is? Even without ironing, it's beautiful. So when you're done, go ahead and close that part that is open. Close it up. When you close it up, give it a good press. Yes, give it a good press, just the way I did. I give my cap a good press. You can see how beautiful it is. So when you're done with this, now this part is optional. That's to stitch around it is optional, it's not compulsory. Okay, so when you're done, you just place your cap down just the way you're seeing. You go ahead and mark half inches. You mark half inches all the way around. Like I said, it's optional, it's not compulsory, but this way your cap stays in place. It does not, if you pull it out, it will stay in place. So you go ahead and mark your half inches all the way around. So you mark the first half inches, mark the second half inches. You can have up to 3 or 4 or 5 lines. Okay, 3, 4 or 5 lines is good. So you just go ahead and mark it all the way round like so. Then you go ahead and stitch on that mark all the way around on half inches, which I've gone ahead to do. Can you see it? Can you see it? So it will just keep the cap in place. That's just it. It will just keep the cap in place. So can you see why pulling it out, it stays in place. Yeah, it will give the cap more structure, to give it more structure. Yes, so see how beautiful the cap is. So nice, very easy to make. If this tutorial was helpful to you, please give a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.